Hello and welcome. I haven't done that yet.
There you go. Hello and welcome. Another episode of Primordial Threads. We are your hosts. My name is Hannah.
I am Anna, and we are recording on August 21st at 12:22 Central Time. Sorry, I was trying to think if I wanted to do Eastern Time or Central Time.
12:22 East. No, nope. 12:22 Central, 1:22 Eastern. Here
Yes.
we are.
And I do military time a lot, so I was about to say
Mm,
13:22, but then I was like, people don't know what 13:22 is.
could figure it out. That could be a fun learning process. Maybe.
Maybe.
Oh, nice. We've got the midheaven in Virgo in my location. And today we do not have a 12th house Mercury. It's in the
Do
11th.
not.
So
Maybe a little bit more productive.
we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, so today we are checking back in with our Bachelorette stuff. We have been watching and they have just embarked on hometowns. So we have four gentlemen on each side of the pond. I don't know if that's the word I should use, but
The pond,
each side.
yeah.
I know. I was thinking about like,
Across the pond.
yeah, they are across the pond on a cruise ship and going across
There, indeed.
the European coast. We
Jealous.
saw dates in where did they go? We saw Belgium, we saw Amsterdam.
Bruges.
Hmm.
And
Very cool.
yeah,
Yeah, and
I
we
love the
have
Amsterdam.
I loved that. Oh, they had some
Hmm.
great dates there with the tulip field.
It's beautiful.
Such a Pisces thing. The our
I
our
love
Pisces Rachel went on that date.
I love the split between Rachel going on the flowers and sweet sensitive date, and then Gabby going on a BDSM date. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, okay, beautiful.
Walked right in. There's whips. We're like, yes, this is our Capricorn queen. Absolutely. Yeah,
100%.
so what we have today is we have the charts. Not the risings, unfortunately, but we have all of their placements for the four guys who they're going on hometowns with. Although on Gabby's side, it's three guys. Um,
Oh wait,
she,
do they
yeah,
not have the same number of people? Oh yeah,
yeah,
because she only felt comfortable handing out three
three
roses. Hmm.
roses. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. Saturn said no. Um, we do also have the chart. It seemed like she was going to give a rose to one of the contestants, Nate, but made a really hard choice there. That was ultimately the best for both of them at this time. And you can kind of see it in their charts a little bit, which is bittersweet. But I was really happy to see her make a choice like that. That was
Mhm.
really healthy for her in their relationship.
And I think that she also said in a little article I read that she was reserving the space for Nate, basically,
Mm,
as like not giving that rose away, just to respect
mm.
him and their connection. And that made me
Oh.
weep. So
Oh,
it's fine.
I cried so hard during their breakup. Like the first time I watched it twice because Austin wants to see it every time after. And the first time I watched it, I was sitting here just like heavy sobbing because it was such a sad but beautiful, beautiful, beautiful,
Mhm.
healthy, wonderful thing that I was really proud of her for
It
doing.
was so real.
It
It
was
was
so real.
very raw.
That's been a hallmark of this season, honestly. Like I have said it to
Mhm.
you so many times, I've said it to Austin so many times, so I am so continually impressed um with how everyone, not everyone, but like for a majority, like a a majority of the people are being very emotionally mature about this
Yeah.
and very considerate. Like after she had that really hard conversation with Nate, she did go down to the guys for support, which number one, I was like, that's an amazing way to continue building a relationship with them.
Hmm.
And then their
Yeah.
responses to her was also so beautiful. They were all just like, no, like we want to share this with you. We've been thinking about you all day. And I was just, it was really refreshing.
Hmm. It was nice to see everybody coming together instead of people trying to one up another or something like that
Yeah.
instead.
Yeah, I feel like in seasons past, it's very been a lot of like, I'm gonna steal her now, and everyone's like very
Hmm.
focused on stealing. But in this, it seems like everything's very focused on sharing.
Hmm.
Not just, the person you're dating, but like the experiences with everybody, and that was really neat to see. So,
I agree.
yeah. So we looked at the charts of all of the guys on both sides, and we're gonna kind of go through and show you guys um the synastry in their charts with Gabby and Rachel because it's a really great example on there's definitely common themes.
Hmm. There
So,
are.
yeah. So, I don't know, who should we start with?
Um, who did their stuff first in order from the episode? Because maybe we can just go that way.
In the hometown episode. Gabby had her.
Which we didn't
I
see
think it
the
was
hometown
Gabby.
episode yet.
Well, I meant the one leading up to the hometown
Okay, okay,
episode. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
cool.
Um, I think Gabby did everything first.
Okay, let's
So we'll
go with
we'll
Gabby.
Gabby up. So I'm gonna start with Gabby's chart actually, just so that you guys can refamiliarize and see what we see. So here we
Refresh.
share my screen. All right, so here is Gabby's chart. Quick refresher, all of the risings are going to be set to 0 of Aries because we don't know any of their birth times, unfortunately. But Gabby does have quite a bit of Capricorn going on. So we've got Uranus, the Sun, and Neptune, as well as Saturn and Venus and the North Node, all up in Capricorn. The first three of Uranus, Sun, and Neptune are kind of in the first 2 degrees. They're 9 through 14. And then we've got Saturn, Venus, and North Node between 25 and 28. So
Hmm.
that's the first big chunk. Then we've got Mars in Taurus at 27. And then we've got Moon and Jupiter in Leo. Not exactly sure exactly what degree Moon is at, but um, it's definitely in Leo. All right. So that's Gabby's chart. So we can
Well, she also has the Mercury in Sag at 23. I
oh
feel
yes,
like because
that's an
that'll be
important one.
important for a couple of charts.
I missed that because it's like smushed at the end of the Capricorn stuff.
It kind of blends.
It does. Yeah, she's got a very heavy Saturn and like very earth and fire.
Hmm.
Got Capricorn, Taurus, Leo, and Sag are her main points. So when we're looking for synastry, what we're going to be looking for, is there any conjunctions happening, any like angular synastry? So even though we don't know their risings, um, are they in similar modalities? What's going on there? So let's
Hmm.
move to, I think it's just alphabetical because that's the way my computer organizes it. So here is, let's see. Oh, and it's not going to let me do that. Do, do, do. Oh, and
That's Rachel's.
that's Rachel's. There we go.
There we
All right.
go.
Here is Eric is our first one. So going back and forth between these two charts, the first thing that you can see is their suns are both up here in Capricorn, pretty close to each other.
6 degrees off, so they would have had a mid-strength conjunction with the sun there, but so much other Capricorn stuff that it would have felt
Mhm.
very samesies between the two.
Yes. Yeah, he's got that Capricorn Mercury at 7 and then a Uranus Neptune conjunction at 18, which is like just a good degree off from his sun too. So that's a
Yes.
um, very strong conjunction and strong Capricorn energy, which I can definitely see she vibes with.
And I think it plays well for him to have Uranus and Neptune kind of shaking up his sun and how he is as a person that vibes really
Hmm.
well with her having the earth and fire as well.
Yeah,
Because then it kind of adds that spontaneity and passion to his chart that
yeah,
she has reflected in her fire.
yeah. And then his North Node is right on her Mercury as well. He's at 21
Yeah.
Sag. Uh-huh. So it definitely brings out some of her goofy
Mhm.
communication style.
And
Um,
from last episode, Hannah and I had talked about how nodal synastry feels like you've known the person for a
mhm,
long time. So that
mhm.
would mean that Gabby probably feels very kindred spirity with Eric.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that a lot for them.
Mhm.
I also like this Jupiter in Libra.
Mhm.
Because it does provide that square, that overcoming square to the Capricorn stuff, which even though it's not in a square with her Venus, which is over at 25 of Capricorn, I
Mhm.
just saw uh, a tweet from Patrick Watson. You and I were just talking about this. You sent this to me.
Oh, did I? I
Yeah,
don't
right?
remember.
I think so. Yeah, where the overcoming square from Venus, I'm sorry, Jupiter
Yes.
to Venus, yeah,
Good marriage
is a good marriage
signification.
thing. Yeah. So even though it's
Yeah.
not like a transit, the fact that they have that benefic square, that's some nice
Mhm.
stuff.
Well, they also have a 2 degree off sextile between their Jupiters as well,
Yes, you
because
are
she,
right.
and that would also be likely sextile her moon as well. So there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot that moon Jupiter that she already has in her natal chart is reflected for her with her synastry with Eric.
Yes, exactly. Um, And then, he does have his Mars in Cancer, which is traditionally considered an is that fall or detriment?
It's across from its exaltation, so that would be its
Fall.
fall detriment. I don't
I
know.
don't know. When I hear exaltation, I'm like, okay, so the opposite of
Wait,
being
okay.
exalted is being
It would be
fall.
fall because the exaltation for Taurus moon is across from the fall in Scorpio.
Boom. Yes.
So.
Live delineation, folks. It also though it does make sense that exaltation and then fall, like one is higher and one is lower, so I'm gonna remember that way.
Hmm.
Okay. So even though it is in the sign of its fall in Cancer, it is in this nice opposition with his sun, which traditionally would be a bit of like an intense thing. But since she does have so many placements in here too, including Venus, having an opposition between Mars and Venus can be a nice synastry thing because then you have that push and pull of the two archetypes where you're going to both be embodying that in different ways,
Well, it also made me
balancing.
laugh after the BDSM date. I immediately, as soon as I saw how he reacted to it and he was like, more, I was like, okay, well, he has some Capricorn somewhere. I don't know what it is, but he does. And then it felt very like, okay, that makes sense that his Mars would also be opposing his sun in that way for
Hmm.
him to enjoy that stuff.
Yes. And then something else I really like too on top of that on Mars is the moon. We've got moon
Mhm.
in Cancer. This chart says 10:50 a.m. And it's at 5 degrees. So I would imagine it was in Cancer for most of that day. So um of that whole day. So having the moon in Cancer kind of, that's the seventh from her sun. Um, whenever you have that opposition, you and I are a great example of that too, having
Yeah.
the luminary opposition going on. Um, even though it's like a full moon opposition type vibe, like he's a full moon baby going
Hmm.
on. Um,
I think that Gabby would like that though,
yes,
you know?
I was going for. Yeah, because it's more active, it's more out there. I think in the filming that we've seen so far, he's appeared a little bit more reserved,
Yes.
but I think that just kind of speaks to the Capricorn archetype of kind of keeping things a little bit more close to the chest and choosing what to share and what not to.
Hmm.
Um,
But we know he's a little bit weird because he
yeah.
has a Jupiter ruled Venus. Like,
Yeah.
okay, come on,
Yeah,
bro.
we've got that Pisces Venus going on as well, which is
Yeah.
trining his moon, which is nice. Um, there's a lot of
And
nice stuff going on here.
yeah. And what did we point out that was also a similar uh some was it the Moon and Venus in
Oh, yeah, you and
from
I were
Gabby's.
just looking,
Mhm. There is another chart where it was reflected.
maybe it was a different chart. I don't
Is
know
it a
if it
different
was
chart?
Eric's
Okay.
chart, but
We've looked at
um
8 charts this morning,
we've looked
folks.
at a lot of charts today. But that's the best way to learn the synastry is seeing a bunch of different examples of it, which I think is pretty cool. But yeah,
And
after seeing, go ahead.
oh, sorry. No, I think that Gabby would also appreciate that Eric has Saturn in domicile as well. So there is that
Yes.
understanding of they both have the Saturn themes are very easy for them to tap into. So
Hmm.
that's nice. And then that
Yeah.
means all of his Capricorn is ruled by that Saturn in Aquarius. So a little bit of a different
Yes.
spin on things than Gabby has. So there's
Hmm.
enough of a difference that they don't feel like the exact same person, but enough of
Hmm.
a relation that they still feel like the same type of people.
Yes, I agree. I think that having that Saturn in Aquarius might be helpful for her too, kind of branching out of the way that we see Capricorn as being more like rooted, and then
Hmm.
Aquarius as being more like we were talking about efficiency and
Hmm.
better. I can't think of the word I'm thinking. I'm trying to.
We used efficiency a lot last
Yeah,
night.
there's an active verb version of that that I'm trying to
Oh,
think of, but um anyway, doesn't really matter. But yeah, I think that that would give her a more forward-looking perspective on things than maybe being rooted in like whatever pain could have arisen
hmm.
from the past. So I think having that Aquarian perspective is definitely refreshing for her.
Yeah, I think so. And I think that, Eric having Moon and Mars in the same sign,
Hmm.
there was likely some shit that he's been through, and also just
Yeah.
Saturn rule people in general. So
Yeah.
I think that, Gabby probably feels very understood and that she
Yeah.
doesn't feel like she has to explain everything to him. He probably just gets it.
Yeah, I'm excited for his hometown. I'm excited to like learn more about him and um, see them kind of open up to each other. Because I do see with that Pisces Venus, like he's got a lot of love to give, and it's probably very, very
Yes,
sweet. And I am really excited to see how that continues to blossom.
I agree.
Yeah,
So, okay.
cool. All right, should we move
That's
to the next one?
Eric. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so next we have Jason. And as you guys can see, if you look on the screen, like when I flip between Eric and Jason, the first thing I notice that's similar is the Capricorn.
It's just so much.
So much Saturn in this man.
Hmm.
He
But he's
has
got the Aquarius ruled Saturn as well, though.
he does. And I think the difference is that Jason is an Aquarius Sun Saturn conjunction,
Hmm. Yes.
whereas Eric has that Capricorn Sun. So
Hmm.
they're both Saturn ruled. So definitely I feel like even though those signs are in conjunct with each other, they're next to each other, so they can't see each other. Since they're both ruled by Saturn, those who are Saturn ruled do have an inherent understanding of each other a little bit better than maybe signs like Mercury, signs like Gemini and Cancer that are ruled by Mercury and the Moon, two totally different planets.
Yeah.
Um,
I also read a thread the other day. I cannot remember who tweeted it. I'll try to find it so I can put it in the
mhm.
description. But they said that there is kind of this theory that within conjunctions, the signs that are right beside each other and in conjunct have a little bit more understanding than the signs that are on the like opposite in conjunctions, because they've
Yes,
just been there. There's been that like space and time that is closer together than the others. So,
yeah,
a little bit more understanding maybe than
definitely.
in conjunction to Gemini and Leo.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. Um, and then like all of this Capricorn. He has the Capricorn Venus as well, kind of on the other side of Capricorn than Gabby does.
Hmm.
North Node at 9 degrees, Mars at 14, Uranus at 15, Neptune at 17, and Mercury at 28. So we've
Really?
got a lot of personal planets going on in there, a lot of
Mm.
Saturn.
Well, and that North Node would be pretty much right on her sun.
Yeah, it
Mhm.
sure
So
would. There's
that
a
would be
lot of
some
synastry
good nodal synastry.
there.
And well, just everything in general, because it's all conjunct.
Yeah, yeah, but I definitely think this speaks a little bit more to how quiet he kind of has come across. And then we were also looking at this moon. So this is at
Hmm.
9:32 a.m. that it went into Sagittarius. So it's possible that he's a Sag moon, but you and I were talking, and we would make an argument for him being a Scorpio moon, like being
Yes.
born earlier in the morning.
Hmm.
Um, because he just has that kind of more
Yeah.
inward, more the nocturnal than the diurnal vibe, emotionally speaking.
Hmm.
I think
Well,
Scorpio moons, go ahead.
oh, sorry. Well, Gabby was also talking about how it was so hard for her to get him to open up. So
Mm-hmm.
that feels a little bit more like a
Yeah,
Scorpio moon with so much Saturn as well.
exactly. Yeah.
I feel like the Sag wants to burst out and talk about the shit.
Yeah, like they're just gonna end up breaking it out. Like someone's gonna ask them, they're gonna like go deep all of a sudden, and you're like, whoa, kind of caught off guard.
We didn't need to get existential there, but okay.
But it just happens. Whereas with Scorpio moon, it's a little more plotting. It's on that Scorpio Taurus fixed axis, so it's a little bit more settled in its patterns and a little bit less willing to. I see Scorpio, I always see like walls, just walls up, barbed wire, like
Hmm.
don't come in here unless I invite you.
Yeah.
Um
And even then, you're gonna have, you're gonna be under
yes.
watch.
Just, we're always watching Mike
You,
Wazowski.
you might get kicked out at any moment. Who knows?
That's what it feels like. And that would also put his moon in separating from a conjunction with Pluto.
Hmm.
And he was talking a lot about therapy and how transformational that's been for him. And that feels like a very Pluto's moon experience. It feels like a very Scorpio moon experience.
Hmm.
He was one I was she was definitely impressed and excited about his experience with therapy and openness to it. So, um, yeah, I thought this was some really interesting synastry. So much Saturn and a Scorpio moon would make so much sense for
Yes.
him. Tall, dark, handsome, and just a little quiet.
It's a little quiet. Yes, I agree. So I mean, you can already start to see that there's a theme where Gabby has kind of gravitated towards people that have a little bit more of that Saturnian vibe to
Hmm.
them, because then she feels seen and she feels like she doesn't have to explain herself.
Yeah, like as I just go between these three charts, you can just see all of the Capricorn like stuff going
Mhm.
on, which is cool.
Yes.
Yeah, she's our Saturnian queen.
Yes.
All right, we'll go to the next one, which is Johnny. And Johnny is a little bit more different from the other two, and I feel like that we've all seen that as well
Mm-hmm.
um in their interactions, but that doesn't mean that they don't still have synastry. You know, the big one up here, we've got Jupiter up in Capricorn at 9 degrees.
Mm-hmm. Which should be right
Um
by her son.
exactly. So, you know, makes her feel seen, makes her feel celebrated. Um lets her be herself a bit more. We saw on their one-on-one date when they were kind of like spanking each other and getting into the into the
Yeah.
beer bath and being silly and open. I really liked that.
That was really funny for sure. And I think, that speaks to the Leo moon for both of them as
Yes.
well. Like they enjoy putting on that kind of show and just being goofy, and that's how they show the affection to each other. Like I think play tickling is a big thing for Leo moons, right? That kind of vibe, right?
Hmm.
So they would both enjoy that.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. She's chosen two guys so far that have this Moon Mars thing going on
Hmm.
because Johnny has the Moon Mars, and then if I go back to, yep, Eric most likely has Moon Mars, and they're both in
Yep.
uh the luminary signs, which is cool. That's a very
Yeah.
interesting pattern to pick up on twice there.
Yeah, and I think like Moon Mars, it typically denotes like violence, kind of.
Hmm.
It can denote violence being
Hmm.
a theme for people to have experienced early on in their lives. So I
Hmm.
think that that brings that depth in of experience that Gabby's looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, and it could be when we say violence, and not necessarily physical, but I mean the moon
Hmm.
is emotional as well. So like there could be a lot of, and I think both Eric and Johnny, Johnny especially did just open up very deeply in
Hmm.
their one-on-one when they went to dinner about his struggles with depression and
Yeah.
pursuing therapy. And when he started talking about that, I was like, whoa, it just got so real. You could just see it on his face.
Yeah.
And it was really powerful.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that might have something here. Like we've got the 26-degree Virgo Mercury, and her Mercury in Sag, I think is what, 23? So it's very close in a
Yeah.
square with each other. So like my initial reaction when I saw him say that, I was like, I don't know if he's ever said this to anyone else. That's just kind of how it looked to me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wonder if something about having that square. I mean, we talk about the angular-ish synastry with the squares. I think that inspires people to say things or do things
Hmm.
they may not usually be inspired or motivated to do.
Yeah, push you out of your comfort zone type
Hmm.
vibes, but for the better good of you as
Yeah.
a person. Hmm.
Yeah. So I think that Mercury, he has his Mercury in Virgo at 26. So having that Mercury square between them, I think has been really powerful for them. And I think they feel that connection as well.
Yeah. And I mean, their suns being square. I'm a big supporter
Yes.
of a Capricorn and a Libra being
Yes.
together.
You? Really? That's so weird. I don't know why you would suggest that.
Me?
Her
So,
husband
and
has a Libra sun, guys.
I know. And he's also going to be very nodal because he has his sun on
Mm.
the North Node. So that's interesting.
I mean, was Johnny like born around the same time that Lane was?
October 6th, 1996. Year
A
later,
year later.
but
Okay,
yeah,
he's born the same year as me, but
almost
same-ish
almost
time.
exactly the same birthday, but yeah.
Yeah, North Node in Libra conjunct the
The Chiron
sun.
and because
Yeah,
Lane
the
has the
Chiron.
Chiron there too.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh my
Not
gosh.
me, like really liking Johnny.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, he seems nice.
He is. And that's the thing. I We've talked about this before, but I so hate when people are like, Libra and Capricorn don't get along. I'm like, yes, they do. Like Saturn exalts in Libra. Like it's here for the balance, for
Yeah.
the implementing the social structures to make things work. And I think that's why they have that strong, they have
Mhm.
more of a square connection, which I
They do.
like. I think that's
Yes.
important for both of them.
Hmm.
And they both have Earth Venuses, so they're trine by sign.
Yeah. And we
Mhm.
had talked about earlier before starting the recording that the squares and the oppositions, those relationships are fantastic and they're
Yeah.
wonderful, but they take a little bit more time to develop than the
Mhm.
ones that are like the conjunctions are going to be a lot easier to just melt into and kind of vibe with. So
Mhm.
it's like you come to a point where with The Bachelor, it's on a timeline.
Yeah.
So they have to gauge themselves for what connection is going to be the easiest to go with.
Mhm. 100%. Yeah. So overall, I think she has some like really solid connections here.
Hmm.
I do
I
keep seeing
agree.
a little interesting like Virgo connection. I wonder, we've been speculating about her rising sign all day. I think we're
We
between
have.
Libra and Capricorn, but
Hmm. Well, it would
um
be interesting then if it was that she was Libra rising, because then all of that stuff for the guys would be falling into her 12th house, and she might like
mm,
12th house synastry.
she strikes me as the type to like that. I mean,
I think most
she
Capricorns do.
yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, 12th house is the house of Saturn's joy. So, um, inherently more poised to engage with those kinds of themes of isolation and um, what other keywords we use for the 12th house?
Isolation. I think of therapy as the 12th house, to be
Yeah.
honest. Just the really getting into the nitty-gritty of what your brain is doing and what you're thinking and your subconscious and
The
just really what is
subconscious.
fucking you up,
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, for real. So I think having, if she is a Libra rising, this is speculation, but having that Venus Mercury in her 12th house, that is like, that feels really healing and really
Mhm.
like a really cool opportunity to dig into those themes in a healthy way. So,
Yeah, and I think in one of the previews, this is totally a preview, so I could be wrong. I think that she was talking about Johnny whenever she said that she felt like he showed her how to be loved in such a different way that she had never felt before. And
oh,
that feels very 12th house
yes,
Venus,
absolutely.
activation.
Yeah,
And then his son would be in her first house, so she would just
like
immediately
connect.
feel
Mm-hmm.
seen.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, so I am excited to see where this goes. I mean, based on just the conversation that we just had, I am a little even okay, so I'll be honest. Eric has not been my favorite to watch. However, seeing his chart and understanding the Capricorn, I get it. And
Mhm. I think
you know,
we both were talking about this off screen and we were both like, man, like Eric, just really don't know him. We haven't seen very much from
mhm.
him. Like, we were big supporters of Jason.
Yeah, we're big Jason
We're like,
fans.
Jason.
He's
But
so
honestly,
sweet.
seeing the chart though, I think it's beautiful synastry.
It is. There's a lot of balance that's happening in this with Eric in comparison to her chart. I think
Yes.
having two different luminary ruled moons,
Hmm.
one
Feels
being
very
the
yin yang
moon,
balance.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I think that could be a really powerful kind of synastry. So,
Yeah. And it would be healing for her to have a Capricorn, Cancer moon partner, I think,
hmm
because I've felt that to be very healing for myself.
yeah,
You know, um,
absolutely.
it helps to have the opposition to your sun where you're really having to question a lot of things.
hmm Yeah, and the thing is too, I think what's great about Eric too is he has that opposition natally. So it's like he
Hmm.
knows what it feels like to have that full moon, that moon opposite his sun. So even though it might feel initially uncomfortable for her or be like a vulnerability point, he's
Hmm.
there to kind of guide her through it. I hope.
Yes. And that's the vibe that I get from Eric's chart is that it's
hmm
almost like he will be more helpful for Gabby if they decided
Yeah.
to be long term than some of the other guys might be, where like Jason might be too much like Gabby,
Mm,
where they wouldn't necessarily have any productive
yeah.
things to heal for each other,
Yeah.
but Eric kind of has a little bit more of an edge to heal. And I think
Yeah.
that Johnny as well.
Johnny does have that. I agree. I really like the squares that they have in their chart personally. I'm a big
Yes.
fan of their synastry. They were another one that I was kind of like not too sure of, but I feel like all of the the people that she's ended up with here at the end are not ones that I necessarily would have like picked out myself, but I mean, I can recognize that as my bias as a Cancer. It's a Cancer Taurus, you know? And it's been a really
Yeah.
cool experience to watch a Capricorn go through this experience and be like, oh wow, it is very internal and private and very specific, like,
Yeah.
and true to the connections that she's had all along. Like she has vibed with Eric from day one. Like
Hmm.
they've like he was the one with the mullet, right? And she's making
Yeah.
fun of him. Yeah.
And he took it to the chin, like he didn't
Hmm.
get butthurt that she was doing the jokey thing. Because
Hmm.
some people get their feathers ruffled, but
Yeah.
Capricorns like to shit on their partners and
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 that's what
then they
I'm
expect you to shit on them back,
yeah.
like we want to get shit on too.
And that's why I sometimes wonder, like, oh gosh, I love Jason so much, but I just wonder if it's too much Saturn, if she wants a
Yeah.
little bit more, like
She's
if
yeah.
this was a Sag moon, I feel like it would pick it
Hmm.
up a bit. And maybe it is. I don't know. But I really just feel like we've got
I,
a cute little Scorpio moon on our hands. I love him so
yeah.
much.
I feel like for me, Jason's chart feels heavy, and then Johnny's chart feels really light, and then
Yeah.
Eric's chart feels like in the middle,
Mm-hmm.
It's like the Goldilocks zone.
Yeah. Hey, the Goldilocks zone. That's what we're gonna use
And he
for
has Goldilocks in his
Yes.
mullet.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that serves as our prediction for
Mhm.
at this point. I'm excited to see how the
Until in
hometowns
time.
go. I'm
I
very
am
excited.
too. I
Yeah.
also worry about Johnny's Saturn being in Aries and like ruled by Aries, like if she would have issue with her ruling
Hmm.
planet being in fall in his chart.
Yeah, sometimes that did give me a little bit like because he is the youngest out of all of them that she's got. He's a
And she
96.
seems to value the wealth of knowledge that you get from age as
Yeah.
as Capricorn.
Yeah. That makes
So,
sense. The very Saturnian Capricorn thing.
mhm.
Um, yeah.
So I think
I'm
he could be really fun for her. He would bring a lot of levity to her life, but I just
yeah.
don't know if he's what she's looking for at this point in time.
I agree. I can see that. I think already he's brought a lot of that lightness in. Like he was one of the main guys who was saying, who was receiving her when she came in after the breakup with
Mhm.
Nate and was like, "Hey, no, like we've been waiting for you. We're like here for you." It was a very uplifting kind of vibe,
Yes.
So and so here's another like Scorpio moon argument for Jason. The first thing he says to her is like, "Can I give you a hug?" Like he just
Oh,
wants to wrap
yeah,
her like and just like squeeze and hold. And I think that's so
true.
fucking you and Scorpio.
What would Austin's response have been? Because he's a Sag moon, so maybe we can compare.
If what was Austin's response have been? Um, he probably would be very much listening rather than speaking.
Hmm.
Um, He's so Scorpio though, so he would have probably wanted
Yeah,
to like know more about how it went down and how she's feeling now and what do you need.
which
Um,
is how he responded after
yeah,
the initial, is that he very much sat there and just gave her space. So yeah,
yeah,
that would feel very Scorpio. So
yeah,
I
but
guess
it
that
could also be
backfired.
Sag because yeah, Austin's
I
like
don't know.
both. That's
True.
fine. Well, that was like it ties back into what we were talking about before we started anyway, how like everything literally is connected. So it's very
Mhm.
hard like when we're trying to pinpoint what risings they are, it's like everything's connected at this point. So I
Yes.
don't even know.
You cannot separate your chart out
Exactly.
sometimes.
Yeah, it's rough.
Mhm.
Okay, so should I pull up Rachel's stuff now?
Yeah.
All
And
right,
let's go through
cool.
Rachel's chart first.
Do it. Here we Oh man, I did it again. There we go. This is Rachel's chart first.
Woot
All
woot.
right. So to remind you guys, she does have a bunch of Pisces placements. We've got Mercury at 1 degree, Mars and Sun at 17 and 18, and then the 26-degree Pisces Saturn. We've got Venus at 2 degrees of Taurus, which I love. Um, Moon is at 25 degrees of Libra as of 6:45 a.m. in her location.
I really
We,
believe she's a Libra
yes,
moon.
I also really believe she's a Libra moon. Just like we were saying, she doesn't feel like that serious deepness
Mm-mm.
as much with Scorpio. And then you made the observation about what her mom said in the preview.
Yes. Well, yeah, whenever her and Zach were on the date watching the video from their childhoods,
Oh
and her
yeah.
mom was saying, like, live it, love it,
Mm.
that just felt very like that's a Libra moon child.
Yes, that definitely feels, yeah, as a mom, as someone, I'm not a mom, as someone who has a
Your cat
mom with
mom.
Libra, cat mom indeed, but my mom has Libra placements, and that's very much in the style of
Hmm.
how she is. Live, laugh, love, very light, very, yeah, so I can see that
Hmm.
for sure. And then she's got a 3 degree Pluto and Sag, and then 12 degrees
Cap Jupe.
Cap. Thank you, Lord God. Cap Jupe. My brain just stopped working. What's
And
happening?
then her Uranus is at 3 degrees of Aquarius, and her Neptune is at 27 Cap.
Yes, thank you. Um,
You are welcome.
the words stopped happening. So we have, let's see, who is she bringing on the hometowns? We've got Tyler going
Hmm.
to Wildwood, New Jersey. I've been saying since the beginning, I was hoping she would go to Wildwood. I grew up going to Wildwood. I want to see her on that boardwalk, looking at the t-shirts that are all painted like with the airbrush. I want to see her shooting the hoops on the boardwalk. I'm excited for that hometown.
She's gonna have so much fun.
I
So
agree.
it's Tyler, Tino,
Tyler,
Avon.
Tino, Avon, and
Oh, I feel so bad.
Zach. Oh,
Zach.
how could we forget
Zach. I was
Zach?
just talking about Zach. Okay.
It's okay. We don't
He has
actually
both us
forget
in our
Zach.
hearts.
We love.
I already said
So,
Zach, so it was there.
exactly. So the first one alphabetically is Avon, and immediately switching between their charts, you can see
Hmm.
so much Scorpio.
So much
um,
Scorpio.
but he does have these late Libra placements, which kind of like leads us to believe even more that she is a Libra moon at
Hmm.
the end of Libra. He's got 27-degree Venus in Libra. They would both be domicile
Libra.
Venuses
Yeah,
then.
Venus is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Venus and Libra and Taurus. Like there is something like they both their aesthetic 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah. That
Mm-hmm.
Rachel's fashion this whole
Oh,
season, I every
both
every
of them.
time I'm just like, whoa.
Obsessed. Every time they come on
I
screen, I'm
need,
like, you
yeah.
guys,
I just need a link to your closet and that's it.
please. I need a portal to your closet, actually.
Please.
I'm begging.
So
And
true.
and then he has a bunch of Scorpio. So we've got Mercury at 12 degrees, Sun at 14, um, Pluto at 24, and Mars at 28. So lots of Scorpio going on, and all of that is going to be trining her Pisces placements.
Mhm.
And I definitely think that speaks to their ease of connection from the beginning. Like
Mhm.
they have had just an easy, it's
Easy
felt very
flow.
easy the whole time.
Yeah, they haven't really had to have a lot of questioning. I don't think
Mm-mm,
Rachel ever once has been questioning if Avon is there for her.
mm-mm.
She's definitely felt like, okay, Avon's all about me.
Yep,
Hmm.
and that definitely makes a lot of sense. She even in on their one-on-one date, she was like, "What's your star sign?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "I'm a Scorpio." She's like, "I'm a Pisces. Those go well together." And I was
Yes.
like, "Yeah."
And little did she probably know that he had so much Scorpio.
Little
You know
does
what I
he
mean?
probably know.
Probably, yeah. So they have
Yeah.
that mega interaction there. So
Mm-hmm.
both of their Mars would be trying by sign with each other. Just
Mm-hmm.
it was
Their
that
sons are
actually?
pretty close trying as
Hmm.
well. Yeah, because it's 17, 18, and then his
Yeah.
son's at 14. So that's a pretty close, tight trine there.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think that them both having a malefic in the house with their sons speaks
mm,
to another layer of understanding, which obviously Avon's is
yeah.
separated a little bit more,
Mm-hmm.
but they still have some malefics on the sun.
Absolutely. Yeah. And she has Mercury in Pisces. So we've got that kind of fall Mercury's going on. And then we have Mercury retrograde for him, which I think is kind of cute. Like
Yes.
they both have a little bit of a ouchy Mercury, but it's just I think it makes them communicate a lot more intuitively. Like
Yeah.
the way I've said this so many times, but the way that they like looked at each other on their one-on-one when they sat down at the cafe and they just started talking, I just saw something on their faces like it was instant chemistry connection. I'm like, damn, that
They're
is
like
deep.
talking through their brains. Well, they
Yeah.
also both have their Mercuries under the beams. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that that does speak to a little bit more of an intuition with your conversations, the people that I know with Mercury under the beams.
Yeah, that's definitely, yeah. Austin and I have similar synastry where he has a Scorpio sun actually at the exact same degree because they were born on the same day a year apart. Wait, that's so funny that you and I both have partners who were born really close to guys on this
Well,
show.
I have the same birthday as Eric,
Yeah, oh
except
my
for a
God, you
different year.
do. You
It's a
do.
different year, but yeah,
That's so funny. We have synastry with the show guys.
we do.
I
That's
like that we have the synastry with the guys that we like the most too. Like you really like
so
Johnny and
true.
I really like Ace.
Too true.
That's so funny. So this is another way that synastry can work. Like you can have synastry with people that you don't even know and you're like just feel drawn to them automatically. Like I just
Yes.
felt drawn to Avon. I thought he was such a cool, like in just deep person. I wanted to know more. And that's the kind of synastry that Austin and I have. His sun is trine my Venus and Mercury. And then my sun is trine his Jupiter in Scorpio. So we have like that very intuitive connective flow that I think is what they're experiencing.
Yeah.
Um,
And
so
then
that's
we
been cool.
see the theme you guys will keep seeing in the charts of this Leo moon down there. Miss
Yeah.
Rachel is real into the Leo moons.
First, like the Leo placements for some reason. I mean, who's that? Okay, Tino doesn't have any, but yeah, most of the guys have Leo placements, which I thought was so
Hmm.
interesting and got us thinking, like, what the heck is her
Yeah,
rising
it has
sign
to
where she has so
be
much? What if she's a Taurus rising,
something.
dude?
Oh, that'd be interesting if she had Venus in the first house, because yeah, that would track for how people perceive her.
Yeah.
Because then that
Mm.
would be the Leo being in her fourth. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's very
Hmm.
strong. Five, six house. And oh yeah, maybe we did talk about this. She would have like that moon in the sixth.
Hmm.
Oh, even everything would fall into her seventh.
Does it make sense for her besiegement and Sun to be in the 11th, though, for the pilot?
Hmm. I
Hmm.
don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It could. I
Mm.
just think in terms of her, I think that's funny if it was in the 11th, her son being besieged by malefics because the way that she's become known to the world is by this being between a rock and a hard place with Clayton and then now being in this between
Hmm.
Gabby and other people, like there's been a lot of like she's in between,
Yeah. She's
you know.
besieged
She is
constantly.
constantly besieged.
Mhm.
Oh, poor. So,
Yeah.
okay,
And there
keeping
was
that.
besiegement in the chart for the announcement of the season. And generally, whenever you have a transit that is mirroring something that's in your natal chart, then that part in your natal chart will be activated and kind
Yeah,
of lit up, and you might experience those themes again.
absolutely.
So,
That's a great point. All right, so potentially a Taurus rising. We'll see. She's got the
potentially,
curves for it. I'm not gonna lie. She is beautiful, beautiful human being.
they both are just beautiful.
They are. I'm actually, they're gorgeous. I'm obsessed with both of them. I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. It's a problem. Anyway, that's why also we've been making an argument for her being a Capricorn rising. There's so much fashion stuff going on and like there's so
I
the
mean, that
Libra
would
10th house could be so
so cool. Well, also that would be them
ah,
both. She would have a benefic on the rising every time that we're that we're guessing what we think she would be, right? So, I mean,
yeah,
we're just putting that benefic in the first house,
gonna
like,
do that for you.
yeah.
All right. Anyway, so that's her and Avon. Let's move on to Tino is next.
Tino.
So
And
Tino, go
at
ahead.
first, I was like, okay, there's all of that Aquarius, no way.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, wait, there's all that Pisces. That makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
And this is so funny. I was not expecting this chart for Tino at all.
Mhm.
I was I liked Tino from the beginning, but he just seemed a bit more reserved, which I guess that would definitely tie into this Aquarius sun that he's got going on.
Yes.
So for our listeners, he's got Aquarius, not Mercury, Mars and Sun. He has his Saturn at 1 degree of Pisces, which is conjunct her Mercury by
By
degree.
degree.
So that is big.
It's intense.
He also has Venus conjunct his Sun by 1 degree. So we've got 1 and 2 degrees of Pisces. So that's huge. And then he has
Um,
Mercury also in Pisces at 6 degrees.
It did make me question like why him and Gabby didn't talk a little bit more because they
Hmm.
both have that Venus Saturn conjunction really
Mm-hmm.
closely together, which I guess it being in Pisces versus in Capricorn would be
Yeah.
completely different, but
But still, it has that similar, and you have to think they're all bound to have some synastry with both of the girls because
Mhm.
they were on this season. So they immediately
Yes.
like had a connection with like the whole vibe, like both of them,
Hmm.
everything going on. But
Agreed.
that being on her Mercury is super strong. And then her
Yes.
son's in there too. Let me just remind myself, where's her son? 18 and
Hmm.
17. Okay. So both of them have the Mercuries in Pisces. And then he also has an Aries moon, which honestly makes so much sense now because at first I was like, at one point, what was his name? Henry. Henry called Tino's being a little baby back bitch. Um, because Tino was really upset when he didn't get the group date
Hmm.
rose. And he was also really upset because he got the last rose at the rose ceremony for
Hmm.
hometowns. And he is like, I knocked it out of the park. I told her everything. Like, I'm ready to
Hmm.
bring her home. Like, why? It's just this is bullshit. Like, why wouldn't she give me the first rose? Um, and that feels so Pisces, Aries, and it reminds me so much of how she handled rejection. And I'm like,
Yes.
that
It makes
makes
sense.
sense. Like they're
Hmm.
both so invested. That's the truth, is they're both so invested in each other that it's like if it
Yes.
doesn't play out to the exact way that they see it happening in their idealized Pisces perspective, like it
Hmm.
feels so earth-shattering.
Yeah, and I really think that that speaks to their connection and why
Yeah.
it kind of works is that they both know that they are just hella invested in each other and they both
Mm-hmm.
need that and want that.
Yeah.
So that's that Pisces connection coming
Yes.
in there. And then, he does have his Jupiter that is going to be trining her sun, is it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jupiter
Mhm.
at 14 Scorpio, trining her 18-degree sun.
Yeah.
Yep. Um,
So
and
she's got some benefic sun interaction there where like Tino might actually help her, like
oh yeah.
give something to help her with the besiegement, where
Mm-hmm.
like he's like airdropping some supplies to her.
Yes, I love that airdropping supplies. Um, and I was just thinking too, having his son on her Mercury, he's had some hard conversations with her.
Hmm.
Like when she didn't show up to the group date, I think it was in Bruges, because Logan had swapped teams that day.
Yes.
She was feeling really heartbroken, but he was really upset that she didn't come and spend the time with them. So
Hmm.
he expressed that to her, and I thought it was a very mature way.
Hmm.
Um, and she received it really well. So I think having that Saturn Mercury conjunction at 1 degree of Pisces, like that might work very well in their benefit, like having
Yeah.
empowering them to have those hard conversations that get to, and his Venus is right there, so
Hmm.
it's empowering that relationship.
Yeah, and I think, at earlier points in the season, we had kind of picked up on the fact that Rachel is so intuitive that sometimes
Yes.
it gets a little bit hard for her to have conversations in which the other person is not also intuitive because
Mm,
there's so much, back and forth that she's just absorbing and feeling and putting back out there that you
hmm.
almost have to be with the program too to be able to see
Yeah.
the full picture, and that's why she ran into some problems with some of the other people in communication, but I
Hmm.
think that Tino feels that, vibes with it, and knows how to put the words into it that she needs.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
agree. And I think you hit the nail on the head there. Like she needs someone who she can have intuitive conversations with. And looking at both his chart and Avon's chart, like there's that
Hmm.
water depth going on. There's a lot more water here than the charts of the men that Gabby has ended up with. Like
Yeah,
like
there's more
it's
earth for Gabby.
exactly because
Mhm.
that's more what she's rooted in. So I really like that so far.
I
Um,
agree.
and you know what? I don't know if we mentioned this earlier, but if he with that Aries moon and she has that Libra moon, we have that opposition
Hmm.
luminaries going on, and that
Yeah.
is strong as hell for
Yeah.
synastry.
that it would definitely be something that they would have to work with a little bit more.
Hmm.
But once they do, I think that's like ironclad, man.
Oh yeah, you've got the Mars ruled moon versus the Venus ruled moon. And they're both cardinal, so they both are like kind of working from the same modality. Compatible elements, the fire and the air,
Mhm.
which can be a bit of a volatile combination, but I think
Yes.
they like that spark, and she had like they need that spark, especially with
Yeah.
his
Well,
a little bit more reserved sun, perhaps, the Aquarius, the Saturn ruled sun.
they want that passion, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like they need
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah.
So, and
I think,
I think
yeah.
there's potential for spicy chemistry there as well
Oh
for
yeah.
them.
Mm-hmm. I like that. That moon opposition, that's sexy.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I
And I
love
mean,
that.
you can see it in how they interact with each other. Like from day one, they've been very comfortable with
Mm-hmm.
physical touch and everything. They did not have to ease into that one at all. It just
Dude,
went. So,
she has her Venus at 2 degrees of Taurus, so their Venuses are exactly sextile.
oh wow, yeah. So
Mm-hmm. That's
instant,
nice.
easy.
That is some
But
nice, easy,
they
sexy
did have
chemistry.
to identify it and, instigate it with
Yes.
sextiles instead of a trine.
Yes.
Hmm.
Which I think they've been doing. And I think that might be
Yeah.
part of Tino's frustration is he wants her to do more instigating, which I think
Hmm.
she would if she was not in a polyamorous dating situation.
Yes,
You
she's
know,
in
it's
a
a,
bit of a abnormal situation here.
oh yeah. Yeah. But this is definitely a cool example of romantic synastry here.
Hmm. And
Yeah,
I think it's strong. And
I
then
agree.
his son would be trining her moon as well. So they would
Yes,
have
you're
that
right.
sun moon that
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful always. Any sun moon synastry is just
Mm-hmm.
really helpful, really strong.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah, I like that a lot. Is his Mars? Yeah, his Mars is trining her Chiron. So I think
Oh.
that's a cool opportunity for healing and growth too. We were
Mhm.
talking about that with Eric and Gabby's charts. I think
Yeah.
finding a partner where you have kind of healing synastry can be really important.
And I think that the Mars could be acting as a protector in that way, maybe
Mm-hmm.
instead of an aggravator. So if Tino is in
Yeah.
fact like protecting some of the hurt and the wounds that she's had, then that's really beautiful and sweet.
And that gets me thinking about so the previews for the hometowns
Hmm.
made hometowns look real scary, like for Tino,
Yes.
remember? So, oh, I wonder if he like
Oh,
defends her against his family, and like that's where that Mars trine Chiron kind of comes out, and it's like a really bonding experience for them.
oh my gosh, yeah. Because I was really like, whew,
I was
I
nervous.
don't know how I would go into that. And it also feels like it plays back into Rachel's son being besieged, right? Where she's having another
Mm,
besiegement.
between a rock and a hard place, between a person
Yeah.
she loves and like conflict with their family. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I do think she does tell him based on the outfits. Because I'm always looking at their outfits. I'm like, you can't fool me, Bachelorette producers.
Too
Um,
true.
I do think she tells him that she's falling in love with him.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, which is not surprising. Looking at the synastry, it's
mm-mm,
really strong.
it
It's
is
very
strong.
supportive too.
It
It's
is.
like they are different enough that they're not the same person, but they have that baseline of understanding of each other.
Yes. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. So this was one synastry that we were like, oh shit, that's
Yes.
cool.
It's definitely not one that I was super pro at the initial meeting of him, but
Yeah.
honestly, my opinion of Tino has changed a lot after seeing their one-on-one date. Just him being
Yeah.
so supportive and loving and just never wavering in his commitment to her. Like, okay,
Yeah.
fine. Like,
That's huge. I think that's a big Venus Saturn thing, having that
mhm.
conjunction. Like once he finds what he values and what he loves, he is not going to budge on that.
Yep.
And
And
that's what she wants.
that's what she needs, man.
That's what she wants.
Mhm.
So I'm
Okay,
excited for them.
let's keep going before we
Yeah,
talk
because
about Tino for
the
forever.
whole time. So this is Tyler, and Tyler is one of the charts that is kind of different than the others so far.
Mhm.
Um, Tyler has a bunch of stuff going on in Gemini, and probably, oh my gosh, I just realized he's probably a Cancer sun because the sun moved into Cancer at 1:02 a.m. on
Oh,
his
wow.
birthday. So unless he was
Yeah.
born before, like between midnight and 1 a.m., he's a like 0 to 1 degree
Mhm.
Cancer sun.
So it would probably be trining her Mercury then. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I didn't even notice that before. I really like that. So there's an immediate, it always is so sweet and flowing between them. And that actually make him being a Cancer sun makes so much sense. I thought he was a Gemini sun, but that makes so much sense because he's such a sweet little bean. I love him.
Yeah, he's very sweet. But it makes sense for him to have so many Gemini placements though that he's the one who's like writing poetry and shit, you
Uh-huh.
know.
And what does he do for a living? He runs games on the
Yeah.
boardwalk. Like that is so Gemini, like
That's
fun,
so
playing,
cool.
child forever, like and then we have another Leo moon going on here.
Hmm.
So where do I
Yeah,
want to
and that would
start?
be really interesting for him to have that Cancer Sun Leo Moon split.
Mm,
That would be
mm-hmm.
interesting, yeah. So he's kind of
Yeah.
flip-flopped on the domiciles.
Yeah. It's possible that so this
Oh,
26
it
degree
could
Leo
be
moon
Virgo.
could be Virgo, if
Mhm.
he was born later in the day. And honestly, I would not be shocked if it was Virgo because then we have a
Yeah.
lot of mutable placements that play really well with her mutable Pisces stuff.
Yes, because then his moon would be opposing her Pisces.
Oh, and if he's an early degree, like 2, 3 degrees of Virgo, that's trying her Venus.
Oh, yeah, and that would be
Mm-hmm.
instant beautiful,
And that's
beautiful
what that feels
chemistry.
like. Their connection does feel like a moon Venus
Hmm.
trine. It feels like a it feels very like high school sweetheart kind of is
Hmm.
how they feel. They feel like just this really light, sweet, genuine, but like not as much, I don't want to say not as much depth, but that's kind of how it
Well,
feels.
it doesn't dig up the childhood shit or like the
Mm-hmm.
dark house stuff that it's like
Mm-hmm.
he's not helping her deal with her deep-seated pain, you know.
True.
But
It is a
it's
lot more, but then you have all the squares between
mhm,
the Gemini and the Pisces placements, which, I'm a fan of for sure.
yeah. Which to me that makes it feel like out of the people that we've seen so far, it seems like Tyler's connection would be more effort and work for them
Mm,
to be able to get where they needed to be.
yes,
Um,
I can see that.
that's
Yeah.
that's how it feels to me.
Yeah. But he does have that sextile, the Jupiter sextile her sun.
Hmm.
Mars going on. The Venus is also square, the Sun Mars thing going on. So there's another square
Their
thing.
Venuses would be in conjunct though.
Yes, their
Mhm.
Venuses would be. So I, they, I, their kisses have been on point, I will say. Every time they kiss, I'm like, whoa, you guys like each other. I like that. But I wonder if it would have, I don't know, just not. He has Mars and Venus together in there, and it's squaring her Mercury and Sun Mars thing going on. So there is chemistry there. There's
Yeah,
chemistry for sure.
it's not that there's not. I just
Oh,
think some of the others might be a little bit
I
more
know.
homey for her,
Mm-hmm.
where this one is good and light and it is pure. It's like a pure love, you know,
I
but
really like it. I think you're right that she's looking for something a little bit more stable, a little bit more grounded. And I think that's what kind of like Tino and even Avon with all of that Scorpio. Scorpio is a bit more of a grounded water sign than I would say Cancer or
mhm.
Pisces. Um,
Yeah. And
you
I
know,
think Rachel talking about how she enjoyed therapy, I don't think that she
mm-hmm.
shies away from the dark
Mm-mm.
connections that
No.
other people might. I think she enjoys that. Like she
Yeah.
wants to see a new side of herself and see herself grow. And
Yes.
I think Gabby does too. They both are into that, which is why
Yeah.
we've had such a progressive season.
I know. I love this season so much as shout out to both of them always. And also, you know what? Who else shout out to is Jesse, the host.
Mhm.
I have really enjoyed the way that he's been guiding these conversations. He's been very much holding space and letting people kind of talk about things in a way that, Chris was just kind of like doing his hosty job. I don't know if he
Mhm.
ever really went into deeper stuff, but I don't know. I really have
Yeah.
enjoyed how Jesse has held space for both of them.
I agree.
Yeah. So, but back to Tyler here. It's so cute. And now that I noticed the 0 degree Cancer sun, I'm like, oh, it makes so much sense why I like him. Of course I like him.
I hadn't even noticed that. I really thought he was a Gemini sun, to
I
be
did too. I did too. Until I just looked, I'm like, that makes he would have had to been born just within the hour of 12 to
Hmm.
1. And I'm definitely thinking there's that Virgo moon opposing her Mercury. That makes a lot of sense to me.
He
Trining her
feels, yeah, he feels too soft to be a
a
Gemini
Leo
sun.
and a Leo moon. Like I don't think he has as much, I don't want to say bite. I don't mean bite badly. I mean bite as in like there's Leo moons to me like have a, I guess it's a spark.
Hmm. It's a
He has a,
fire.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that makes sense. So he doesn't have as much of the ah. He's more just like,
Yeah.
I'm so excited to talk to her and spend the rest of my life with her. I really wish she was here right now. Oh my God. I like him a lot.
Okay, Hannah.
I'm sorry. It's my Cancer placement.
No, I love it. It's just, it's funny because your chart is so loud right now and how you're talking about it.
I have Synastry with Tyler. Sorry, guys. Um, so that's there's not a lot more to say there. He is very focused on the Gemini and the Cancer Sun, probably that. We'll see where that one goes. I think based on the preview, I have some sad ideas, but I'm gonna fight for it.
I'm gonna fight for it in
I'm
my
gonna
heart.
fight for Tyler in my heart. And we could go to the last one then, which is Zach.
Zach.
And now this one is set for 10:12 p.m., but I am absolutely going to advocate for this Pisces moon.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
100%. There's no way this man is an Aquarius moon. The way he is so sweet has to be.
There's
The moon
no
Mercury
way.
conjunction has to exist
Mm-hmm.
because like from that first
True.
date in the movie theater, that is
Yes.
just,
Just oh my gosh.
oh
And
my
I
God.
I just love that he has the sun in domicile
Yes, the Leo sun.
too. Yeah. And then he's got that
Yes.
water moon. Feels
Mm-hmm.
good.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, so we'll go. He's the most spread out chart that I think we've seen so
Hmm.
far. So we've got most likely a Pisces moon, very early degree. Um, Saturn in Aries. I think most of our guys are Saturn in Aries. Maybe not Tino.
Tino wasn't, and Tyler, I think it's that two of them are and two of them aren't.
Yes, you're right. Two
Just
of
two
them
of them
are.
are Aqua. Mhm.
Oh, well, Tino's the
Oh,
Pisces,
Pisces, sorry.
and then no, you're good. And Avon is the oldest one. He's got the Aquarius one. But yeah, so he has the Aries, Saturn. Venus is at 25 of Gemini. Mars is at 4 of Cancer. Sun in Leo, as well as Mercury is in Leo, but further away at 29. And then we also have the Jupiter up in Capricorn and 0 degree Sag Pluto. Um,
I would just like to point out that it seems like their chirons are conjunct each other.
oh my gosh, yeah, probably. Well, they're both 96 babies, so I do think,
Yeah, they would inherently
yeah,
have
most of
that.
them
Yeah.
are.
Hmm.
Yeah, she and Tyler and Zach both have chirons that are conjunct her chiron as well. Oh,
Hmm.
that's probably why it's going to be so hard when she has to probably say goodbye to Tyler because I don't think she's going to marry him, sadly. But
I don't think so.
I'm gonna cry, but it's okay. Um, so lots of spread out stuff going on. However, like we were saying, we've got that Venus most likely square her, what is it that she has later in Pisces?
Saturn.
Yes,
Hmm. Venus
almost
square
exactly.
Saturn.
I love that. I love Saturn Venus synastry
Yes,
like that.
feels good.
Mm-hmm. Good for long-term relationships. This Mars is sextile her Venus, so that's a nice kind of easy.
Spicy.
Yes, they have a bit of a spicy connection. I said it earlier, but when they were in that hot tub next to the tulips, I was like, oh, she wants to eat that man because the way she was looking at him, I'm like, okay, girl, I see you. I respect it because I respect it. I loved that.
I agree. Yeah.
Loved it. The Leo sun going on there. Um, Also that would be square her separating from a square with her Venus. So there's
Mhm.
more kind of like intense synastry
Yeah.
there. I like
It's
squares,
just got the
especially.
Venus action. Like a lot of his
Hmm.
placements are going back and interacting with her Venus.
Even
So it's no
Mercury
surprise.
is
Yeah.
like applying to a trine with her Venus
It's
because
no
it's at
surprise
29.
that they
Hmm.
would have connected in that way and that she wants him.
Yes. She does. I love it so much. They're
And just the
so
moon,
cute.
having his moon in her Pisces shit. Like, oh my God, moon synastry
I
just.
was hoping someone would have a Pisces moon because I felt
Mhm.
like that would be really special for her. I really
Yes,
like Zach for her, man. I really
I
like
do too.
Zach.
I just, I feel like Zach maybe doesn't have as strong of the intuition thingy going as some of the others, or he might not be able to communicate it. He might feel it and vibe it and be there,
Hmm.
with the moon
Hmm.
and Pisces. But I think that some of the other guys have the words for it where she knows.
I agree. And I could definitely see that, having if he is a Pisces moon, which I'm pretty sure he is, um, his Sun and Mercury would be in conjunct or in aversion with it. So
Mhm.
doesn't have that flowing relationship between it. I knew he had Leo placements also just because of that like big booming deep voice. I'm like, yeah. So
Yeah,
having Sun and Mercury and Leo, I'm like, that makes a lot of
yeah.
sense.
Also, I feel like people with Leos, I feel like they have really defined neck type
Mm,
thing,
like
where like they're,
chests,
yeah, it's
chest
just like,
area. Yeah.
ew.
Dude, also that man absolutely manscapes. When he was in the hot tub, I'm looking
Oh
at his
yeah.
chest hairs. I'm like, those are all cut to be the same length. There's no way.
Oh yeah.
At
Which,
first,
how Leo of him.
ow. He was like, I'm gonna be ready for this. I
I
really
feel
loved
like
it.
Leos are always really proud of their chest hair. I feel like, have you noticed that?
No, but it wouldn't shock me. Not in the slightest. That's so funny. Yeah, no, there's a lot of interesting, like probably the most Venus synastry that we've seen, like the most things
Mhm.
directly happening with Venus.
But their
Um,
Venuses are in conjunct each other,
mhm.
so
Yes.
I think
So
that
that's
there is so
interesting.
much there, but I think it's another one of those where it would take a little bit more work than some of the others.
There
But
are
I think
squares.
it would
Yeah.
be a beautiful connection. And obviously, they had that childhood thing going for them. So
Hmm.
I kind of have speculated that maybe they have angle synastry as well on top of
Yes.
it. And that's kind of where some of that comes from.
I definitely agree. I definitely think they have the angle synastry going on. I
Hmm.
wouldn't be shocked if I wouldn't be shocked if they were both Taurus risings. Like that would actually kind of
Hmm.
make a lot of sense.
Oh, Saturn in the 12th for Zach. That would be really interesting because he did say that he put a lot of hard work and dedication into like achieving some of his goals with what he wanted with his body and stuff, right?
You were
And that
right.
feels very like you would have to have that approach of
Yeah.
long-term determination to be
And
able to
he
achieve
has
something.
North Node in Libra too, so kind of like that health and body and like having to deal with that. That
Hmm.
South Node, dude, that actually would make a lot of sense having South Node Saturn conjunct in your 12th house, and then he's another one who has gone to therapy and they had a really great conversation about
Yes.
therapy.
Hmm.
That's interesting too. Making
Hmm.
arguments for Taurus risings.
11th house moon though.
I mean,
I don't know. Yeah.
he's
Hmm.
on a show
He is on a
right
show.
now. I'm
Yeah.
just that's my delineation for today.
He's on a
11th house
show.
moon, he's on the show. That makes sense.
It's true.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, that's God. After talking it through, I feel like we've made it kind of clear. Like it feels after talking through every single one of them, I'm like,
Mhm.
I feel like there are certain ones that make more sense than others.
Mhm. I
I
think that all of them are good connections. I don't
God,
think that
yeah.
any of them would necessarily be a bad relationship.
Agreed.
Mhm.
Agreed. I really would love Zach because I think that's such a constructive, fun Venusian relationship.
Is it what she needs though?
I
Or
don't
like,
know.
is it what she wants?
I don't know.
Because Rachel was talking about how she wants to settle down and have the family and like do the things. And the only person that's really said the words to make her confident that they would be ready for that is Tino.
That is correct. You were right there.
Mhm.
Interesting. Having the moon in her 12th house would be interesting.
And that would be another one of those where like Tino sees right into her core, and then he also
Hmm.
has the ability to be able to understand and communicate intuitively.
Yep. You're not wrong.
Ooh.
Oh, so those are the
Our
men.
predictions.
Should I, as a final capstone,
Oh
should
yes,
I show
100%.
Logan's
Yes.
chart?
I knew what you were about to say.
Ah, man. So Logan did this thing, folks, where he accepted the rose from Rachel. I think
Multiple
we hinted
weeks.
at this. Yeah, multiple roses from Rachel. And
Mhm.
then eventually was like, no, I actually have feelings for Gabby. And I need to go do that. And it was really hard for Rachel, and she wasn't able to go on a group date, and it affected a lot of shit. And Gabby did want to explore that connection, so she did bring him on a group date. And then after that group date, he suddenly like had COVID and then was gone, and for the whole thing. And it wasn't like, it was very strange. It's sus to me, but
I feel like the producers did some shit there or something, but I don't
something
know.
like that. So we took a look at his chart because he was, up there, and I was just curious, like
Mhm.
what was going on there. And lo and
Ha da da da.
behold, no wonder he was feeling for Gabby, because after
Yeah.
all of that, we've got so first, this Sun Jupiter conjunction right on her Mercury in
hmm
Sagittarius makes a ton of sense. Also makes
Yes.
a lot of sense. You were talking about him being charming.
Yes. Because we didn't see it. Like both of us were
Uh-uh.
like, why? Why?
Why? What do we
I,
see in him? I don't
I
get
don't
it.
get it. But then we were kind of like, oh, okay. Sun Jupiter had to be,
Yeah.
you had to be there to understand type
Yes.
five.
Probably had a very palpable, like, charismatic vibe that you just enjoyed being around,
hmm
especially in Sagittarius.
Yeah.
And then he has a shit ton of Capricorn. So
So
Mercury at
much.
4, Mars at 10, Venus at 21, which definitely was a Gabby thing.
Yes.
And then Uranus and Neptune at 24 and 28.
Yes.
Flip-flop though.
So
So,
he's got all of the conjunctions with Gabby, and then he would have a lot
hmm
of sextiles with Rachel. So
hmm
it
makes
makes
a lot of
sense.
sense. His Saturn is exactly on Rachel's sun. So that's kind of interesting. Like, he felt that connection. He felt like there could be a long-term bond there.
Mhm.
Also, his north node is probably really close to her moon. So
Yes.
there was connections there. And like you said earlier, it probably was very confusing for him, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I don't think he handled it like an adult at all,
Not at
but
all. No,
I don't
especially
think he should have done that.
all of that. Like, I can imagine he was feeling for Gabby the whole time. Like, that's so much
Well,
Capricorn, and like the Sag right on top of the Mercury. Like, whew.
yeah, you remember the first night. I mean, both of them shared a kiss with Logan. Both of them had an instant connection. He was just kind of
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm gonna play both fields and we'll just see. And I think he was just coasting, like flying by the seat of his pants, like not really
Mm-hmm.
having a plan yet. Hello, Sag.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And he was just gonna see where it took him.
Yeah.
And then he ended up hurting someone very deeply. Hello, Saturn on the sun.
Yeah, dude. And moon opposing that sun, because we've got
hmm
moon somewhere in Virgo. So the moon is opposing her stuff, which, another
hmm
thing that could have been a very constructive relationship
Yes.
thing,
hmm
but um not in this case.
Not in this case. Also, I do think that he led Rachel on a little bit because if you
Yeah.
remember in the dates, he was reading her poems, like on the poem date where he just felt so deeply for her and he was
Mm-hmm.
saying all of the right things, but then in his head, he didn't have it all
Didn't come
together, I
through.
guess.
Mm-mm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So that's a good example of, like, the synastry doesn't lie. Like, there's always connections that can be explored with other people. Like, as we've shown, he definitely had shit going on with Rachel, but
Mhm.
you have to follow your gut there. Like, that's so
That's
much
so
loudness.
Gabby. Yeah.
And
But
what's
then the
interesting too?
conjunctions, sorry, go ahead.
Yes. No, go ahead, sorry.
The conjunctions are going to inherently be a little bit stronger than any other type of aspect.
Yeah,
So
agreed.
that's why we look for conjunctions first in synastry instead of
Yes.
other aspects first.
Yeah. And that's something, the conjunctions, the hard aspects, those are the ones that I think are usually speak more to a long-term
hmm
relationship and something that can grow and be constructive over time. Kind of why I'm like really pulling for Zach there, because there is so much square stuff going on. Like, there's so much, it would be so good over time. But
I mean,
um
a conjunction is a hard aspect too, though.
exactly.
So,
Exactly. Um so then there's the Tino stuff. Exactly. Good
yep.
point. But then
And also
also
Eric.
and Eric, yeah, dude, that's so much conjunction stuff going on.
Yeah.
I do think
Well,
also
I
that
guess Jason might be a better argument for the conjunctions, but
maybe, yeah, I would have to
maybe.
look exactly at
Ow.
those degrees again. Oh God, you good?
Sorry. Yeah. I was trying to cross my legs, but then I just like slammed my knee into the.
Like when I tried to cross my legs earlier and I like spun my computer completely
Yes.
away from me.
That's what it felt like. Okay,
Oh God.
anyways, sorry, but we're saying.
No, you're good. The last observation I had was just so if, with this Virgo moon, even with Gabby, their moons would have been in conjunct.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, his moon is trying her Capricorn stuff, so there's another connection there, but
I feel like inconjunct moons in a relationship is
it can be rough.
really hard to deal with,
It can be hard.
you
It
know?
is. I have that.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
one that you got to be willing to put in the work, and I just don't know if The Bachelor is the right setting in which you would choose a
Mm,
relationship that you know it's going to take some work. Where,
yeah.
like, maybe if organically it had happened.
Hmm.
Also, just after the series of events that occurred here, like, why would you trust that person?
I agree.
You know?
Yeah. Very difficult to have that trust at this point with all the flippity floppity. So,
Mhm.
but that's that. Excuse me.
That
All
is
right.
that.
So, any closing thoughts on those charts or any predictions or ideas? I feel like we already kind of hinted at what we
We
think
gotta kind of hit it.
we kind of think
Yeah.
we know what the predictions are going to be. I definitely feel good about
Mhm.
Eric for Gabby, even though like I want to
Yeah.
see more from him on the hometown dates. I hope that that kind of gives me a better understanding.
I think that we do, though. From the previews, it seems like they actually have a very real conversation, and that Eric does kind of let his walls down, and then Gabby
Hmm.
is like, "Oh shit, okay."
Yeah, but I
So
want to see it.
they
I want to see it because those producers be editing shit in a way where I'm like,
do.
you are a sneaky little bitch.
They do. It does make
Hmm.
me question if they edited the date that she had with Eric, and she was talking about her mom, and they made him look like he just had no facial reactions at all.
Yeah,
So I'm
he looks
wondering if,
so uncaring. I like did not like
yeah.
his reactions in that, but I wonder if they did edit it weird.
Hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Because
I
looking at their charts together, I'm like, that reaction doesn't make a lot of sense
hmm I agree.
for him to react that way. Because it seems more like he would have the depth and understanding to be like, oh, fuck, dude, that's hard.
Hmm
You
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
Which maybe it's just the resting bitch face of the Capricorns.
It could be. It really could be. You're right.
I have to intentionally make my face rest a certain way so that I don't look like I'm angry.
I hear that. That's Earth sign rising vibes. Sometimes I'm just
So
like,
true.
I have nothing.
I have nothing to share here.
I'm good, thanks. I apparently my coworkers at work who don't know me very well describe me as very quiet and keep to myself, which I think is hilarious because I am simply not like that. But I'm like, yeah, well, if I don't like you, if I if I have nothing to say to you, that's how it's gonna come across. Oh, maybe we
I
cut that out. I
mean,
don't know if they listen to this.
I mean, you told me that you think of me as being like very put together and like I've got my shit going.
That's how you are like presented. That's like the Capricorn first house. Like, I know, I know,
No.
I know.
It's not there. It's
It's
fine.
okay. You come across that way. Congratulations.
I'm glad that I seem like I have my life together at least.
You do. We'll hang on to that. The Earth Risings are like, I am going to hang on to your perception of me doing
Yes.
well as long as I possibly can.
Okay, but the way the Earth Risings care about their perception from other people more than anybody else, and they would never admit it.
We're saying they as if this isn't us.
Is
Like,
this
we're
is
not
it
the,
us?
it is us. We are the Earth Risings.
We do care. Well, it's like
We do.
Capricorns carefully craft their appearance and perception, right? Like
Hmm
you have it built up, and then it really fucks with you whenever
Whenever
something
you're like, you
happens.
fall short, and it's like, maybe other people don't realize that you've fallen short in that moment, but I know, and
But
I
I
am not
know
okay with it.
that it irks you.
The
But
whole
then
time. Yeah, I feel that.
Taurans want to come across as like the approachable ones, like they want to be the
Hmm
friends and the
hmm
confidants, and then whenever they don't, they're like, fuck.
Damn it. God damn. Yeah, I definitely think, I mean, there's the Venusian aspect too, where like we want to be perceived as that feels like a very earth rising thing. Like I can see that with Virgos as well, like wanting to be perceived as being put together, like
Hmm.
aesthetically. And when I'm
Yes.
not, I've been trying actually, like as you can see, I did not do much with my hair today. I didn't do much in general because I was like, I need to be low maintenance today. I need to not care as much. Like it's okay. I don't have to be I can just be myself, but that's my
That's
challenge for
hard.
myself right now. That's not the thing I normally do. So this is my current challenge, is
No,
appear
we are,
as I am.
yeah. Earth Risings are the ones that had their outfit picked out at night before school, and they had their whole thing figured out what they were gonna do for the day, and it was carefully crafted. I
Oh
used to
yes.
have to do it at night because it would take me too long if I did it in the morning. It would be like an hour of me trying on stuff, taking it off, trying on, taking it off, being like, oh, this looks like trash.
This is still me. This is me to this day. Like I will put on so many outfits. There's clothes lying around everywhere because it's things I try on and don't put away.
Why do I do the same thing? But
I
I
don't
would never
know.
let anybody know it because I totally have myself organized and it is by color and alphabetical.
I'm not shocked at all.
It's not. It's not, but I would like people to think that it is.
Right? I like to think that I have organizational systems in place, but really it's just chaos everywhere that I'm familiar with. So,
Bitch, you do not delete your emails, okay?
chaos everywhere that I'm familiar with. It's fine.
That's so Virgo in a way to me. And like, hello, Virgo Mars.
Yeah,
How are
hi.
you?
It's great. We're having a good time. It's all a game because it's in the fifth house. It's not actually real. And then Pisces,
It's not actually real.
Saturn is opposing it like it is real though. It might feel like a dream, but it is real, I promise. And I'm looking up at the Pisces Saturn like, are you sure? Are
I don't know about that one, but give me a sign.
you side? Boom. And then shit happens. I'm like,
Take back
fuck.
the sign. Too spicy. Too spicy.
Too spicy. Tina gif. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Well, I guess that concludes our Bachelorette analysis with Earth sign rising discussion thrown in for a little spicy sprinkle. Um,
Hello.
and welcome. Oh, I'm tired. All right. Where can the people find us, Anna?
You can find us at Primordial Threads on Twitter, and I am at Sappy Saturnian on Twitter. Did we get an Instagram?
No, we said that in an
No.
episode. We were really banking on getting that Instagram. There's no reason
It's
just
just
yet.
not our
So,
vibe, you know? What are
no,
we
what
gonna
am I
post
gonna
a picture
post?
of?
Exactly. We just
Ralph
asked the
and
same.
Mishka?
Yeah, it's just gonna become a Our Fur Babies fan account with the
Yeah.
guise of astrology.
Mhm.
So yeah, for right now, YouTube and Twitter, you can find us at Primordial Threads. I am at Aluna Astrology on Twitter. Um, and yeah, thanks for hanging out.
So like that's it. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.